Eugene, sometimes I have like a little intro for when I do these, but with you, I'm not even going to do it because screw it. It's you and me. And for those of you that are tuning in right now to the Katie Phang News Channel, it is the inimitable Eugene Carroll, who for me is one of my closest friends. But for you, well, not but. There is no but here. And she is one of my personal sheroes. For all of you, I know that she feels that role as well. But Eugene Carroll, welcome to the Katie Phang News Channel on YouTube.
Thank you, Katie. We do not need an introduction by you because your glasses, your eyeglasses, are here to introduce. Listen, I love it. There they are. I want to have a pair just like yours.
Well, you can get them off of Amazon. I got them pre us not getting shit from Amazon, so I'm happy to send them to you. They are inexpensive reading glasses. If I take them off, everybody gets very blurry, so I leave them on.
Yeah, no, they're fabulous. They're fabulous.
Well,
Thank you.
fabulous is the adjective that I would use for you. It covers the waterfront, not only from your talent as a writer to your role as a friend and a mentor, an inspiration for me and others. We've let this secret out a little bit. I know you and I, that there's a group of us, a group of girlfriends that have been very close for years now. And we have had different monikers, and I won't get into the monikers of our group, but it does involve people like Joyce Vance and Jen Taub and Mary Trump and Kathy Griffin, which sounds like an odd lot. And yet I feel like it works, right? It works for us.
It works. I mean, just the support today pouring out for Kathy as she heals from some surgery. I mean, we're there to love Kathy and help her heal, and and she's looking good. And we're
Well,
here.
so Eugene, obviously, I always love spending time with you, but one of the reasons I especially wanted to spend time with you today is you've done a thing, and it hasn't been kicking Trump's ass, not once, but twice. But the thing you've done is you've written yet another book. And this book literally just got an exceptional New York Times book review, which was stellar. But I want you to, first of all, I want you to tell everybody the title of your new book that just came out today.
Not my type.
Well, shit, that does sound familiar. Where have I heard that before?
Wait a minute. Shall I go get the book?
Do you have the book?
I have the book.
Can you show it?
Remember, I didn't have the book. I just got the book. Let me show you.
Go get the book. Run and go get that book. Show everybody what that book is.
Get the book. Here it is. I'm getting the book. Look at this.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh.
Not my type. One woman versus a president. And I recognize that photograph, by the way. That's you rolling out of that federal courthouse. Eugene, talk about why something that's so incredibly personal that you've had to relive over and over again, media, books, trial, you name it. Why write a book about any of this?
Katie, I'm thinking about that, but I'm a nincompoop. I'm also a moron. I have never been inside a courtroom. Okay. I am an innocent. I had no idea. And I found myself in the middle of a high comedy with characters that even Shakespeare himself could not have created. And you know me, Katie, I'm an old journalist, and I could not help myself. I had to. It was so absurd and so juicy and so unusual and so funny that I had to write about it. And that's why we're here.
And listen, I would have to tend to agree. The characters, as you call them, running the gamut from Alina Habba, who's one of my favorite people about whom to have to include into a discourse, to Joe Tacopina, who I actually know personally as well. Your description of his left buttock. I mean, there are things that are in this book that I want everybody to go and get the book so they can read them themselves. But there were just a couple of snippets I wanted to ask you about because they kind of struck a chord with me. And I, like most people, especially as lawyers, sometimes we just go to the end. And at the end of your book, you say the following. You say, "My work here is done. I didn't try to do too much. I did what I could. I beat Trump twice. I could not have done it without Alina Hava Esquire." Thank you, Alina, in bold and in like exclamation points. So yes, we should thank Alina for her contributions, but why thank Alina Hava?
Well, Alina Haba is one of the great characters alive today. First of all, she's really beautiful, uh, just sensational looking, wears a diamond as big as a Ritz cracker, has a voice built for the courtroom. She's very loud and deliciously arrogant. And she didn't know diddly squat about the law. Not the first thing. I remember when Judge Lewis Kaplan, one of the great federal judges, the most conservative, by the book, serious judge. He should be on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. He scared me to death, by the way.
Yeah, he's pretty intimidating.
He said to Alina, "Ms. Haba, you have just seen Robbie Kaplan introduce 53 documents this morning, and you can't manage to introduce one document. Let's take a break so you can refresh." That's kind of him. So you can refresh your memory on how to introduce a document. So we take the break, right? Alina apparently learns how to introduce a document because when she is cross-examining me, she introduces a tweet, which I made about penises, which she was crazy about my penis tweets, which I wrote when I was giving advice because I'm an advice columnist for Elle. And after she introduced it without any, mishaps, she strutted about that courtroom. She was so proud of herself.
Like a peacock.
Oh, she outdid Joe Tacopina in his strutting. She was fat. And then there was no living with her because she could introduce documents. But then she got to introducing a line of transcript from the depositions. Again,
no, she couldn't do it.
Darkness. But Katie, let's be fair. She's extremely smart. She didn't know about the law, but she is smart.
Street smart, you would say?
I would say more than street smart. She has all the smarts. She just didn't know about the law. She is so smart that, remember, after she left the courtroom, she would go out and make long statements and repeat everything that Judge Kaplan had told her not to say in the courtroom. And basically, in the end, she helped get Trump elected.
Well, and she continues to be rewarded for her loyalty by serving as a personal advisor and now U.S. attorney. But even then, she still doesn't know the law because she ended up dropping those charges against the Newark mayor, Roz Baraka, as we know.
Oh, she dropped him.
She dropped him because she didn't know what the hell she was doing, even though she's now going after Congresswoman MacGyver for the same shit. Listen, you mentioned Robbie Kaplan. For those people who don't know, that is your lawyer. She's also, in full disclosure, another good friend of mine. You dedicate, okay, so I went to the beginning of the book too, right? I mean, I had to do all of it, beginning, end, and in between. At the beginning of the book, you say, quote, "This book is for Robbie Kaplan. It's beautiful in its simplicity. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 words total. It wasn't, this book is dedicated to, justice. What it was, this book is for Robbie Kaplan." Why did you write this book and why was it written for Robbie Kaplan?
Well, you and I would not be here without Robbie Kaplan.
Amen. Well, we'd be here no matter what, but yes, I understand.
Well, she is, first of all, Robbie Kaplan is a once in a generation legal mind. She was born with a lust for battle. And without Robbie Kaplan, because nobody really would think that I had a case, as they say, no witnesses, not quite sure about the date, and nobody.
You were a witness. You were a witness. He was a witness too, but you are definitely a witness.
But it was terrifying to anybody to go up to sue Donald Trump for assault and defamation. It was just nobody. Robbie saw here, Katie. She saw so far into the future She saw what happened yesterday when Trump, losing his second appeal, this is news, Katie. I'm about to tell you news.
Oh, okay.
This is a headline. His team sent a writ of censure to the Supreme Court.
Of course they did.
So there you go. But Robbie saw that the day, are you ready? When I met her on the 72nd floor of the Kaplan, Hecker, and Phang at the Empire State Bank. She saw it the day we met, that after I'd sue him, we would end up exactly where what happened yesterday. That's how smart Robbie Kaplan is.
But it's not just her legal acumen, because I agree. Robbie has one of the greatest legal minds, I think, of not just our generation, but of all time. There's something about Robbie who herself understands what it's like to be an underdog. She, was in big law. She's female, Jewish, gay. I mean, there's so much about her own personal things and her own personal journey, but she took your case on. She's taken on cases historically for people that would have been defined as the underdog. Talk about, Eugene, why it is so important then to have access to our judicial system and to have representation and to be able to have a system that is fair and impartial, because we've seen a lot of valid criticisms lodged a lot by me that the system is now under assault by Trump, convicted felon Donald Trump. I always want to remind people. And the system being attacked by somebody like Trump, who has a bully pulpit and he's using it as a bully, it really creates this intimidation and fear that the system won't work for them.
Well, Katie, having been through the process, I feel that it's the courts. Now, a lot is wrong with them. I think it's the last bastion that we have going right now are the courts.
I agree.
I have experienced it, and I believe in them. And this is where we either stand or fall with the courts. And we may I just say that we also stand or fail unless we all get off our lazy asses, right? Open our front fucking doors and go outside. Trump loves money, right? And he loves being popular. All we have to do is lift his wallet. And if we all get together, we would have the power. We would have the power. But apparently we're all too lazy. We're just sitting in, watching our phones and stuff. If we just would walk outside and all get together, we could control him. We control the purse strings. Katie, we could do it. It's about the money. It's always about the money.
And to your point, we saw the effectiveness of all of us uniting on Saturday for the No Kings protests. Literally more than 10 million people across the country. One. And two, it's interesting you bring up the power of the purse, because a YouTube video that just dropped on my channel just a little bit ago, and kudos to producer Sydney, who's here.
Hello, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney. The video I just did talks about how Trump reversed himself immediately on his position on the farms and on restaurants and whatever, because he was getting pressure from donors and agriculture and big dollar people that they were getting hurt by this, not to mention the fact that he gets hurt by it. Now, of course, he got his ear bent by Stephen Miller and others. And so now he's flip-flopping. But to your point, you think, Eugene, that if we were to hit Donald Trump on his bottom dollar, that would be, I call it his underbelly. It's a piercing of his soft underbelly. There's a lot of shit that's soft with him, but I talked about his underbelly from a financial standpoint.
Katie, that's the secret. Two things that drive Donald Trump: money, and he wants to be liked. He wants popularity. We have control of both. We have control of both. We have control of both because there are more of us than there are of them. So we just need somebody smart, or not even smart. We just need somebody to, somebody old. I think old people. We just need to stand up. We need to put down our phones and get the hell out in the out like we did last Saturday.
Well, let's talk about the money, right? So I want to first dispel any confusion that people may have as they tune in and watch this. You haven't seen any of the money from the 5 million from the first verdict and the 83.3 million from the second verdict, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So a lot of people, those of you tuning in, I always love to share. I say I want you to be a high information American on my channel. For those of you tuning in, here's another talking point that you can use if somebody wants to tell you something about E. Jean Carroll. No, she is not living high in the hog. She is not, rolling in the dough. She's not lying on the bed with the proverbial dollar bills flying in the air. That is not E. Jean Carroll. She is fighting tooth and nail to be able to deal with the appeals that have been brought by Donald Trump. But E. Jean, there's another passage from your book that I want to read, and I want people to hear this with you on this interview because I think it's important for them to understand. You didn't do this for the money. You've said this time and time again. You never sued him for the money. And you said the following: I, E. Jean Carroll, pledge to make Trump very, very mad by giving most of the $100 million to all things he hates. If Trump despises it, women's reproductive rights, voting rights, climate solutions, etc., I'm going to be giving money to it. And what's more, each donation I give, I will make public on my Substack. And this is important, people, parentheses, ejeancarroll.substack.com. Go and subscribe and be a paid subscriber. I will make public on my Substack so we can all feel the joy of making Trump angry. There are few things that bring me joy, E. Jean, like making Trump angry. I don't give a shit if somebody thinks that makes me a small person. It makes me happy when he's angry. Why is it so important to give this money to causes that will just piss him off?
Well, first of all, I don't need the money. I don't want the money. I'm old. I know my own
You're
pleasures.
not old. You're not old. Not old.
Thank you, but I know my own pleasures, and they don't. That doesn't involve buying things. Where my pleasure comes is making him so pissed off he can't think. We need to prick his little balloon constantly, and one of the ways to do that is to give his money to women's reproductive rights.
Oh, hell yeah.
To binding up the wounds of democracy, which he is destroying by the very instant that we're sitting here, shoring up voting rights. Can you imagine how angry he takes his? He made $600 million last year on Bitcoin.
Grifting.
And as Robbie says, do you know anybody except criminals who make money on Bitcoin? No, do we? We don't. Anyway, so it's just so delicious thinking about how pissed off he'll be, how angry that his own personal money is going to help women. Ah, heaven. It's the revenge that we all love.
So you are by trade a writer, and I think that got lost along the way over the last few years. You've been fighting tirelessly in the courts for this very personal attack and assault and affront upon you. But you are a writer, and one thing you just said right now that really struck a chord was you said that some of this money could go towards binding up the wounds of democracy, which is beautiful and elegant and yet painful to hear because it's so damn true. Do you find that this battle that you've been waging over the last few years, again, for your own wounds, to bind your own personal wounds of what happened to you when you were attacked by him in that dressing room at Bergdorf's, do you find that it did have a role in some parallel way to the fight for democracy? Do you find that to have been a pro-democracy parallel thing that was happening?
Wow, Katie, I never thought of that.
I mean, I think for me it was, but I'm curious to know if you felt like that was part of it. Did you ever think of it outside of just the scope of this is my litigation at this point?
No, but this is a new idea for me, and I'm enjoying this idea because being able to write about all the funny things and the absurd things and the surreal things that happened in the trial, and laugh my ass off when I'm doing it. And, I work for the court transcripts because as Donald Trump is trying to rewrite history, I am sticking to the facts, court transcripts. I found that was therapy. Found that I felt better as I was writing it. And I think you're onto something. I think as we do heal the wounds of democracy, we'll all start to feel better. Yeah, let's think about this, Katie. I think we will all feel better if we start to do something about it. We will all feel better. Don't you feel better after you do one of your blazing Substacks? Don't you just feel better after you go? I remember after watching your show, sometimes there'd be flames coming off the top of your head, and I could tell you couldn't feel better if you were just, your eyes were shooting the sparks of you had just done the attack and you were feeling no pain. So it'd be nice if everybody could feel that they were also doing something. So, yeah.
I think you're right. And I think that's why the No Kings protests were so important, because it's not apathy that we're suffering from. I think a lot of us were very shell shocked after November 2024. I've shared this personally. It's not an apathy. It was more, how could this have gone so wrong when the energy and when the vibes, I mean, and again, you shouldn't vote on a vibe, and yet the vibes all worked, and the reality and the facts and the truth and justice and democracy all worked with the Harris Walls campaign. But I do think one small thing we can do is we can kind of take back, and this kind of does dovetail, I think, with victims and their rights and the psyche, et cetera. If we can take something back as a victim from a perpetrator like Donald Trump, as you have done in this book, as you have done as an advocate, as you are, I do think it makes you feel better, because you feel like you're getting back control. Even if it's just one day, one afternoon, one protest, you are taking back control, and it makes you feel like you have the ability to drive the fight. And it's not just barreling along and you're in it and it's on fire and you don't know how to stop it. You are a part of the progress that's moving forward. And so I feel like people going and reading your book, they're going to feel, yes, we are reliving this trial through the eyes of E. Jean Carroll, but we may know what the ending is.
Yeah.
We know what the ending is. We all lived it with you, but you are giving it a totally different light, E. Jean.
Well, while they're reading this book, they're going to be highly entertained. They're going to get a good laugh at Trump's expense. I mean,
love that.
Nobody's more humorous than Donald Trump. I mean, the way he sounded in court, like raw sewage oozing from a leaky pipe. I mean, the way he snorted and hissed and spit and plopped his arms, he was. Did you know I turned around and looked, that we had a moment? Donald Trump and I had a moment. Yeah. He never looked at me once when I was on the stand. Anytime I look at him when I was testifying, which
was a lot.
And millions of people on this planet would love to have the opportunity to sit in a chair and tell Donald Trump the truth to his face. I got to do that for a day and a half. But he never looked at me. He never looked at me every time. But before I took the stand, after while the two teams of attorneys were standing with Judge Kaplan arguing about jury selection, his team wanted to put an unvaccinated person on the stand. Robbie would not. Judge Kaplan said, "Look, you got an old defendant, you got an old, plaintiff, and I'm old, so they're not going to be on here." While they were busy, I turned around. I was wearing a white jacket, my white Armani over my brown silk dress. Let's get that. And I turned around because Trump is right behind me. Mm. Could have turned and I could have, if I leaned, I could have grabbed him by the hair.
He was that close. Yeah.
Turned around and lanced him with my eyes. And I got his attention. And he looked at me. And we locked eyes. Him and me do like this. His eyes are the color of blue masking tape. And we held each other. And while I was looking at him, I said the thing I always wanted to say to him. And he got it. He got it good. He got it real good. And then I turned back around and we proceeded. That's the last time he looked right in my eyes.
Well, he hung his head in shame, even though because he couldn't deal with it. It's called consciousness of guilt, and the reason why he couldn't make eye contact with you, other than the fact that could he could not escape it at that moment, is because he knows what he did to you and he knows what he continues to do to you. It is not over in terms of his defaming of you. Let's be honest. I am going to say goodbye to you, not because I want to, but because I want people to be left with that. I felt it in my core, what you just described of that moment. I want people to understand that your book, E. Jean, it has humor and you kind of have to almost chuckle at the absurdity, but it is a captivating book. It is such an easy read.
Thank you.
Your writing style, as anybody knows through Ask E. Jean and other of your stuff, it's just such an easy thing to do. I am going to tell people right now, folks, there were no opportunities to have audio or video from inside of E. Jean's trial. It was federal court. And so those of us lamely tried to sit there and describe what was happening. What you're going to get from E. Jean's new book, Not My Type, is pretty much the blow by blow, the play by play, pretty much better than the freaking court transcripts, in my opinion, of that trial. So go out and buy it. E. Jean, tell everybody where they can get Not My Type.
Anywhere, everywhere, allwhere.
Audio, yes. Audio already as well.
Oh, you had to bring up audio? I made the audio book myself. So you got lots of audio of my stomach growling, me burping, me breaking myself up. No, it's total entertainment. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, so Not My Type. It's out now. It's E. Jean Carroll's latest. I'd say it's it's like the Odyssey, but for the 21st century. It's what it is. It's the Odyssey.
Here, Katie.
It's the Odyssey, guys. I mean, it pretty much covers the freaking waterfront, does it not? But E.G., my friend, it's always so good to see you. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I want to hug you right now, Katie.
Virtual hug. Virtual hug.
Thank you.
Tell Vagina T Fireball I say hello as well.
Oh, I will. Thank you. See you soon. Adios.
Bye. Katie Phang here. The truth matters now more than ever. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching.